Shana Tova. Last night, for those who were here, we ushered in the year 5780, bringing back all kinds of nostalgia for what was arguably the greatest decade of the 20th century. Here we are, not in the 1980s, but in the 5780s. So on behalf of Temple Bat Yam, all our clergy and our Board of Trustees, welcome to the 80s. We hope that by coming together to celebrate a new year, we are coming together in solidarity, standing together as part of a tradition going back centuries, as part of a people spanning the globe, all different expressions of Jewish life. It's wonderful to welcome you here, whether this is your 40th or beyond High Holy Day, whether this is your first High Holy Days with us, whether you were born Jewish or whether you've joined the Jewish people later in life, whether you are a friend or family member of the Jewish people. We're so pleased to have you with us. We hope you'll enjoy the service and participate by opening the Machzor. The prayer book for these High Holy Days opens in the Hebrew direction. There's Hebrew and transliteration, and all kinds of creative readings for us to employ for meditation and reading, explanations of the meaning of the service, which you can feel free to read as we begin with the words of Ma Tovu, which can be found on page 110, page 110. How fortunate we are to have such a wonderful musical team. Camp Smeal on the keys through these High Holy Days. He had prepared diligently to play most of our pieces on the wonderful organ that we have, but there has been perhaps divine intervention and the organ is not working this morning. So we will be enjoying music from the piano, and we thank Camp Smeal and the whole team for all that they do to enhance our worship throughout these high holy days. Page 142, we rise for the call to prayer. Page 142.
Please remain standing as we turn in our Machzor to page 150, as we join together in our Shema. Please be seated. We turn now to page 164 as we join together in singing the Micha Mocha.
שפת הים יחד כולם, כולם הודו, והמליכו ואמרו. Yehuda ve'Yisrael, oh, Aleinu Ga'al Yisrael.
We rise for the tefillah on page 166.
Magen Avraham Ezrat Sarah. 170. Atagi Bolel Adonai Mechaye Hakol Atara Morid Hatal Mechalkel Hayim Bechesed Mechaye Hakol Berachamim Somech Nofim Verofet Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishnei Avar Michamocha Baal Gevurot Umido Melech Melech Memit Umekayem Umatzmiach Yeshua Michamocha El harachamim zocher yitzurav lechayim berachamim v'ne'eman ata l'chayot hako baruch ata Adonai v'chayei hakol. Amen.
Please be seated. We continue at the top of page 175. Unatana Tokef. Let us embrace the day and its holiness, for this day is a throne of goodness and power. When the people of Israel do God's will, they strengthen God's power on high. But when the people of Israel fail to do God's will, they weaken, if one might say it, God's great power on high. So let this day recall your power and ours. Let it remind us of our promises kept and broken, as we remind you of yours. Let this day be a throne of forgiveness, for today we are the accountants of our souls, the navigators of our hearts, seeking wholeness and new direction. And we seek you through signs of your presence in the arc of sacred history. I make this covenant not with you alone, but with those who are standing here with us this day, and with those who are not. God of ages past and future, God of this day, as you are with our mothers and fathers, be with us as well. The top of page 174. And so, let these words of sanctity ascend to you, for you are our God and sovereign. Let us proclaim the power of this day, a day whose holiness awakens deepest awe and inspires highest praise for your dominion. For your throne is a throne of love, your reign is a reign of truth. In truth, you are judge and plaintiff, counselor and witness. You inscribe and seal, you record and recount. You remember all that we have forgotten. And when you open the book of memories, it speaks for itself. For every human hand leaves its mark, an imprint like no other. On Rosh Hashanah, this is written. On the fast of Yom Kippur, this is sealed. How many will pass away from this world? How many will be born into it? Who will live and who will die? Who will reach the ripeness of age? Who will be taken before their time? Who by fire and who by water? Who by war and who by beast? Who by famine and who by drought? Who by earthquake and who by plague? Who by strangling and who by stoning? Who will rest and who will wander? Who will be tranquil and who will be troubled? Who will be calm and who tormented? Who will live in poverty and who in prosperity? Who will be humbled and who exalted? We join together at the top of page 180. But through return to the right path, through prayer and righteous giving, we can transcend the harshness of the decree. You are everything that we praise you for, slow to anger, quick to forgive. You do not wish the death of sinners, but urge them to return from their ways and live. Until the day of death, you wait for them. You accept them at once if they return. Since you created us, you know our impulses. We are but flesh and blood. We continue on page 182. We who are mortal, our origin is dust, and so is our end. We wear out our lives to get our bread, like broken vessels, like withered grass, like a flower that must fade, a shadow moving on, a cloud passing by, mere dust on the wind, a dream that flies away. But for you, ever-living sovereign, time has no limits. Your presence, unbounded by days and years, is everywhere. A glorious mystery none can decipher. Your name is worthy of you, and you are worthy of your name. And our name you have linked with yours. We turn now to page 184 for the Kedusha, and I'll ask the congregation to please rise.
נקדש את שמך מעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי על יד נביאי Avinu, Malkeinu,
ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. ושפחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש עולם ועד, יהיה מלך גדול וקדוש אתה.
We continue in the middle of page 192. Kadosh ata v'nora shemecha, ve'ein Eloah mibaladecha kakatuv, vayikba Adonai tzvaot b'mishpat, v'ha'el hakadosh nikdash b'tzdaka.
Baruch atah Adonai, HaMelech HaKadosh.
Please be seated. We turn in our Machzor to page 214. Our God, divine presence, whose path our ancestors walked, bless us now with words first bestowed on Israel in the time of Moses and Aaron, the threefold blessing given us through Torah that joins our hopes with theirs. We continue our Amidah silently. I encourage you to look through the Machzor, through these readings. The right-hand side has the traditional prayers. Our left-hand side of our Machzor has beautiful reflections and interpretations of our prayers. We'll join back together on page 220 in just a few moments.
pleased to invite Raymond Zachary to join me in these words, Yihil Ratzon in Refi.
Friends, we now reach Avinu Malkeinu on page 223. I'm pleased to call upon some of the many new members of our congregation since last High Holy Days. And as I call your name, please do come forward. Cyril Alush, Bradley Pivar, and Rod Escobedo, Jonathan and Carly Snyder, Payson and Rachel Liederman, Lisa Bourbeau, Lisa Friedberg, Melinda Weiss, Amanda Branting and Scott Tenley, Emma and Patrice Modorsky, Lawrence and Jocelyn Klieger, Claire Gruber, Brooke and Michael Popovich, Amanda Branting, David and Cheryl Rolfe, Scott and Ashley Pastel, don't be shy, come on up, Mark and Amy Gallner, Martha and Ernest Gallner, and I think she might be busy right now, Rabbi Miriam Phillips and Daniel Vogel, and Robert and Doris Bachman. If you have joined since last High Holy Days and I did not read your name out, please do come up to the bima. And as they're coming up to the bima, as we welcome them as new members of our congregation, I want to point out if you are pre-B'nai Mitzvah age and you've been enjoying our service so far, we will be taking the tour around the congregation in just a moment, and as we do so, we invite you to seek out Melinda Weiss, who's going to plant herself in the annex, and she's going to take you out for some enrichment and programming for the High Holy Days, and then we'll be bringing you back in time for the shofar blowing. So that's pre-B'nai Mitzvah. If you've had your bar bat mitzvah, you're going to stay here. Page 223 of Avinu Malkeinu, please rise. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Almighty and merciful, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol aleinu va'alol aleinu v'tapenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families.
Avinu Malkeinu, Kaleh dever v'cherev v'ra'av me'aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger.
Avinu Malkeinu, Kaleh kol tsar u'mastin me'aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror.
Avinu Malkeinu kotvenu b'sefer chayim tovim.
Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived.
Avinu Malkeinu chadesh aleinu shana tova.
Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness.
Avinu Malkeinu chonenu v'anenu ki ein banu masim. Aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed v'hoshienu.
Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice
and love.
Avinu Malkeinu, Koneinu Vaneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Koneinu Vaneinu, Yein Banu Masim. Aseh Imanu, Tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh Imanu, Tzedakah v'chesed, v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Vaneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Koneinu Vaneinu, Yein Banu Masim.
Page 227, Kriyat HaTorah, the service for the reading of Torah.
Ein kamocha Elohim Adonai, ve'ein kema'asecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, kol emshatecha v'kol ha'adon. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimlach, le'olam va'ed. Adonai hoz le'amo yitein. Adonai yivarech et amo
Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Chanun, Erech Apayim v'Rav Chesed v'Emet, Notzer Chesed l'Alafim, Noseh Avon v'Fesha, v'Chata'a v'Nakeh.
Gadelul Adonai iti, unramema shemo yachdav.
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Please be seated. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. If you are pre-B'nai Mitzvah, you should be heading to the annex and joining for the youth programming, returning for the shofar service. If you've had your bar mitzvah, stick around for what's in store. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. We're going to hear some words of welcome and some announcements from our dear President, Mr. Kobe Sonnenschein.
I am Kobe Sonnenschein, and it's my privilege as president of Temple Bat Yam to welcome you to our Rosh Hashanah main service. As you saw upon your arrival, our usher volunteers and professional staff have done an outstanding job of providing safe and efficient entry to our sanctuary, and we thank them greatly for their efforts. We appreciate your patience and understanding of our revised ticketing and security procedures. I'm pleased to introduce and share the honor of sitting on the bima with two important members of our congregation. First, Adrian Cohen. Adrian currently serves on the Board of Trustees as second vice president. Adrian is a very busy attorney and owner of 2 law offices. She previously served as membership, religious life, and administrative and IT trustee. Adrian and her daughters, Haley and Sarah, have been members since 1995. Adrian will follow David Udis as our next president, which means her term begins in 1,006 days. But who's counting? Thank you, Adrian. Mark Gullner, our new executive director. Mark joined Temple Bat Yam in early July and has been a welcome addition. Mark has held a variety of positions in and around the Jewish world, working his way from a director of youth to engagement to membership, and finally as an executive director, first in San Diego and now with us. Mark and his wife Amy have 2 young children, Henry and Margaret. The Gullners are also TBY's newest multi-generational family, as Mark's parents, Ernest and Martha, have also joined our congregation despite their residence in Minnesota. Welcome, Mark. I would like to thank Leslie and Ed Miller for the beautiful Rosh Hashanah Bima floral arrangements in memory of their daughter, Fern Jennifer. Thank you to Dr. Jim Weiss for volunteering your medical expertise for our congregation this Rosh Hashanah morning. Thank you to our choir under the longtime conducting of Bill Wells and organist Kemp Smeal, today pianist Kemp Smeal. Please refer to your pamphlet, which contains messages from our clergy and staff and acknowledges the many people that have made our High Holy Days so meaningful and beautiful. It also highlights the services offered throughout the Days of Awe, in addition to the many exciting programs and events that will take place in the coming months. And before you leave, please be sure to pick up some grocery bags for our annual Yom Kippur food drive. When you return next week, please bring these bags full of non-perishable foods and toiletries to make this year the most giving in our history. This food drive provides for many people seeking assistance through agencies that TBY supports. Your donation is sorely needed and much appreciated. Following today's service, you are invited for Tashlik at North Star Beach. it is customary to go to a nearby body of water and recite the Tashlich prayer as we cast our sins into the sea. All are welcome to join us. Last year at this time, I talked at length about my Jewish journey and have provided a very brief state of our shul. This year, I will do just the opposite. For those of you who are new to our congregation or fell asleep during my speech last year, I'm a lifelong member, enjoying many memorable milestones in our synagogue and with our clergy. I want to pause for a moment and thank everyone who came before our current board, our staff, and me. Having served on other boards and former committees, even here at TBY, we owe a huge debt to those who did the hard work to elevate our temple to a high-functioning organization. It's a privilege to be able to focus on vision and strategic planning and share a very positive report with you. Our congregation of 500-plus families is stable in size. Our board performs in high gear. Our succession plan has allowed us to identify our future presidents through 2024, and yes, both David and Adrian know the plan and have accepted. Our leadership council meets quarterly to ensure our synagogue functions at the highest level. The relationship between our lay leaders and clergy and staff is seamless. We are all on the same page and march to the same beat. Our preeminent clergy is now comprised of Rabbi Zilberman, Rabbi Gewirtz, Rabbi Phillips, and Cantor Grant. We are thrilled to announce the board agreed to enter into another contract with Rabbi Zilberman, which is likely to extend through 2026. We will finalize that contract over the coming months. This past year, we extended Cantor Grant's contract through 2024 and preschool director Laura Gramling's through 2021. And Rabbi Gewirtz continues in her clergy responsibilities, leading us in services and working with our youth. On the hiring front, we also were quite busy. After extensive and thorough nationwide searches, we hired incredible additions to our team. As you all know, Stan Levy recently retired after leading our temple for nearly 3 years as our executive director. We are so appreciative that Stan, with his easy smile and heartfelt greetings at every temple event, exemplified the warmth of community in our tagline. While finding a successor for Stan was no easy task, we were lucky Gulner as our new executive director. Mark's career in Jewish institutions and business-like mentality have already streamlined processes and improved operations. The board is excited to partner with Mark as he takes our temple to the next level. It's hard to imagine the Jewish Center for Arts and Learning, otherwise known as JCAL, without Barry Koff, who created the innovative program to engage our children creatively and spiritually in their Jewish education. Following Barry's retirement at the end of the last school year, we interviewed dozens of qualified candidates and were fortunate to attract Rabbi Miriam Phillips as the new head of JCAL. Rabbi Miriam, as she likes to be called, already seems like she's been part of our TBY family for years. We feel very blessed to have her on our team. On the fiscal side, we're in great shape. We have run break-even budgets for the last few years. Our reserves, including the facility maintenance, community membership, and general reserve, provide a healthy cushion for future rainy days. On the capital campaign front, we are roughly at 90% of our goal. We have only embarked on construction projects for which we have pledged funds or money in the bank. Our 20 tribute funds provide an ongoing and meaningful way to recognize life milestones and celebrations while simultaneously sustaining the temple. With average size balances of $10,000 each, tribute funds provide meaningful support to many TBY programs and activities. As our own Sonny Gordon pointed out to me a few weeks ago, why not support Temple Bat Yam instead of Hallmark? Please consider using TBY tribute cards to send Jewish holiday greetings, recognize birthday, or offer condolences. Our JCAL and our preschool are at near capacity. Both entities are full of dedicated and passionate educators who provide creative programming to engage our children and solid Jewish instruction to ensure we provide a solid exposure to and love of our faith. Cantor Grant and his team do an incredible job of preparing our 13-year-old children to lead the service and read from the Torah at their bar and bat mitzvahs. On the programming front, we produce and host extraordinary activities. For our youth, some of our past year's events include bonfires on the beach, scavenger hunts, youth theater, master chef classes, and skating, to name a few. On the adult education side, among others, we offer weekly Torah study and coffee talk, frequent book club and movie nights, adult Hebrew, and TBY Connect. And our major events, like our gala, which celebrated Cantor Grant's 25th anniversary at TBY, and our sold-out Distinguished Speaker Series with Gary Sinise just a few weeks ago, were inspiring evenings which brought our synagogue and the community at large together. In sum, we are a healthy, vibrant organization. I'm truly proud to be associated with our synagogue and know our future continues to be bright. From my family to yours, Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. And thank you to Kobe for those important words. So we now turn to the words of Torah. You can find the readings on page 240 and onwards, and there are some commentaries on page 236 and 237. We have 5 aliyot, and you'll find those aliyot all on page 240 and 241. For our first aliyah, I'd like to call upon Dr. Nissan Pelest, who will be reading the Torah for us, and inviting those couples who are celebrating a 50th wedding anniversary this year, Michael and Yulia Yazvin, Paul and Lily Suss, and Ron and Bobby Felsat, as well as those who've been married since last Rosh Hashanah, Michael and Giselle Kay, Ashley and Scott Pastel, along with Candace and Yuval Verad, and Jessica and Aria Kashtan. If we missed you and you were married in the last year, please come up. And if we missed you and you're having your 50th wedding anniversary this year, please do come up as well.
והאלוהים ניצה את אברהם, ויאמר אליו אברהם, ויאמר הנני, ויאמר קח נא את בנך את יחידך, אשר אהבת את יצחק, ולך לך אל ארץ המוריה, והעלהו שם לעולה על אחר ההרים, אשר אומר אליך, וישכם אברהם בבוקר, ויחבוש את חמורו, ויקח את שני נעריו איתו, ואת יצחק בנו, ויבקע עולה, ויקם וילך אל המקום אשר אמר לו האלוהים. ביום השלישי ויצא אברהם את עיניו, וירא אל המקום מרחוק.
And now for our second Aliyah, I'm pleased to call upon Avery Thalberg to read the Torah. And members of our caring committee, I'd like to invite Jill Edwards, Eileen Pennon, Sally Spiro, Katie Krug, Linda Siegel, Vicky Fackler, Sandy Sullivan, Joanne Mercer, Joni Siegel-Myers, Sandra Chakmak, Barbara Lubash, Sophia Soslavsky, Roz Wexler, members of our caring committee who reach out and help those in need in our community, particularly at times of struggle, illness, loss, really the backbone of our congregation. We're so very thankful for all that they do.
Vayomer Avraham el Ne'arav, Shavu lachem po im ha'hamor, v'ani v'hana'ar nilcha ad ko, v'nishtachaveh v'nashuva alehem. Vayikach Avraham et atzei ha'olah, vayasem ayitak beno, ויקח בידו את האש ואת המחלת, וילכו שניהם יחדיו. ויאמר יצחק אל אברהם אביו, ויאמר אבי, ויאמר הנני בני, ויאמר הנה האש והעצים, ויהסה לעולה. ויאמר אברהם אלוהים יראה לו הסה לעולה בני, וילכו שניהם יחדיו. ויבואו אל המקום אשר אמר לו האלוהים, ויבן שם אברהם את המזבח, ויערוך את העצים, ויעקוד את יצחק בנו, וישם אותו על המזבח ממעל העצים.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natan b'toheinu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. And for our third Aliyah, we call upon Neely Miller to read the Torah, and representatives of our Capital Campaign Committee, Kim Greenhall, Debbie Margolis, Jeff Margolis, David Siegel, Kobe Sonnenschein, Sally Spiro, Barbara Lubash, Patty Seaburn, call you to the Torah. We also call up members of the construction committee, Barry Katz, Jeff Menkes, Tracy Ettinger, Bonnie Jeanette, Brian Jeanette, Debbie Margolis and Jeff, who are on both, Allison Sonnenschein. If you could come up now. The capital campaign is securing our future, and I believe it's not too late to make a pledge to the capital campaign. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. We could be in need of a new organ.
Sounds like we might need a new organ. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, we might be in need of a new organ. Don't you think, Kemp?
I have to speak to David Siegel.
Yes, we need an organ donor. That was Jeff's joke. I stole it.
Amen. Vayishlach Avraham et yado, vayikach et hama'achelet, lishchot et beino, vayikra elav, malach Adonai min hashamayim, vayomer Avraham, Avraham, vayomer hineni, vayomer, al tishlach yadecha el hana'ar, ואל תעש לו מאומה, כי אתה ידעתי, כי ירא אלוהים אתה, ולא חסכת את בנך, את יחידך ממני.
And for our fourth Aliyah, I'm pleased to call upon Sarah Sonnenschein for this reading. And members of the Gala Committee, Gala chairs and members of the committee, Debbie Katz and Denise Molnar, Karen Albert, Risha Roston, Marion Fink, Beth Bidner, Debbie Margolis, Adrian Moore. Did we mention that Cantor celebrated 25 years at the congregation last year, and very happy 60th birthday. Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vayisa Avraham et einav, vayar v'hine ayil ahar, ne'ehaz v'aseva ve'ekarnav, vayelech Avraham, vayek et ha'ayil, vaye'elehu le'olam tehet beno, vayikra Avraham shem hamakum ha'u tehet beno, Adonai Yira'eh Asher Amer Hayom Bahar Adonai Yira'eh Vayikra Mela'o Adonai El Avraham Sheni Min Hashamayim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech
Shemo. Amen. And for our fifth Aliyah, I'm pleased to call up Sabina Schneider to read the Aliyah. And we're going to call up all those who had a bar or bat mitzvah since the last High Holy Days. Come up along with Sabina. I'm going to call up Adira Zilberman, Skylar Shadian, Dylan Yomtubian, Aaron Simonu, Jasmine Jenkins, Zachary Marks, Michelle and Danielle Tabib, Joseph Brenner, Eden Gallagher, Malia Gardner, Sarah Sonnenschein, Olivia Ackerman, Sabina Schneider, Ava Cohen, Sarah Perkins, Aliyah Konswicki, Talia Besikoff, Naomi Aragon, Mila Slutsky, Avery Thalberg, Carter Klein, Rachel Blumfield, Isaac Miller, Devin Swartz, Madeline Lubavin, Brandon Wink, Claudia Kahana, Hunter Herman, and Hannah Titus. If we've left you off and you had your bar bat mitzvah since last High Holy Days, come on up. Lana, wonderful. Welcome. Baruch Adonai Ambrach Le'olam Vahed.
Nishbatine Omaronai Ki Yan Asher Asita Et Hadavar Hazeh Velo Hasafta Et Binha Et Yihidecha Ki Varech Avarecha Vecharba Arbe Et Zarcha Keho Havai Hashamayim Vechacho Asher al Sefat Hayam Varesh Zarha Et Sha'ar Oivav Vehit Barhu Evasha Kol Goye Haaretz Vekev Asher Shamachta Becholi Vayashav Abraham El Ne'arav Vayakumu Vayelhu Harav El Be'er Shava Vayashev Abraham Be'er Shava.
Amen. Yeshakach to all our Torah readers this morning. We're very thankful for their preparation and beautiful chanting of our Torah. And thank you to all those who were called up for this special honor. We're now going to lift the Torah for Vizot HaTorah. And for this honor, I'd like to call upon Leora Fogel and Greg Shavitz, our co-chairs of the Religious Life Task Force. And would the congregation please rise?
Oh
I'm now pleased to call upon Cantor Linda Ecker, beloved member of our congregation who fills in from time to time when Cantor is away. We're so thankful for all her service to our community and for her wisdom and beautiful soul. She'll be reading our Haftarah this morning, which can be found on page 250. She'll be reading verses 1 through 4. And don't forget there's a commentary, pages 248 to 249, to understand the context of this Haftarah, this reading from the prophets.
Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratza v'divreihem hane'emarim behemet Baruch atah Adonai Habocher b'Torah uv'moshavtaho uv'Yisrael amoho uv'invi'eh ha'emet v'tzedek. You can follow along on page 253. Keshet giborim chatim v'nikshalim ultruchayil Sivayim belechem nishkaru or evim chadelu arakara yada shivaha v'rabat banim umlala Adonai me'mit chayeh morit shehu v'yal Adonai morishu mahashir mashpil imareim Mekim yafar dal Me'ashpod yarim efyon L'shiv im nidivim V'kisei kavod yanchileim Ki l'Adonai mitzuke eretz V'yashed alehem tevel Raglei chasidav yishmor Ushayim b'choshek yidamu Kilo v'chokik ba'ish Adonai echad merivav Alav b'shamayim arheim Adonai yadim etzer aretz V'yitenod l'malkoho V'yarem keren mishicho. And you can follow the blessing after on page 259. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, sur kol haolamim, sadik b'chol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer ve'oseh, hamdaber imkayim, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek, al haTorah ve'ha'avodah, ve'yom ha'tzvi ve'yom ha'zikaron hazeh, Shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu lechavod u'tifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lak umvarachim otach yitbarach shimcha befi kol chai tamid leolam va'ed udvarcha emet v'kayam la'ad Baruch atah Adonai melech ha'aretz Mekadesh Yisrael v'yom hazikaron.
Amen.
On page 244, we turn our thoughts and prayers to those who are in need of healing, of body, of mind, of spirit, those with us here this morning, this afternoon, those who are at home streaming our service, those in hospital beds, folks awaiting diagnoses, recovering from surgery and illness, those struggling with addiction, mental illness, or infertility. Page 244, Mishaberach Avotenu Vimotenu, Avraham Yitzhak v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel v'Leah, U'ivarech v'Yarapeh et HaCholim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yamalei Rachamim Aleihem, Lachalimam Rabotam, Lachazikam, Lachyotam, Vishlach Lehem Era Refuah Shlema, B'toch Sha'ah HaCholim Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf, Hashta B'Gala V'Zman Kariv, and Omar, Amen. For all who struggle against illness, let renewal of spirit and renewal of body come soon, and together again we say, Amen. As we return the Torah to the Ark on page 276, I'm pleased to call upon our first group of Circle of Honor members. And as I call your name, please do come up. Philip and Judy Binder, Adrian Cohen, Kerry Duart, Steve and Jill Edwards, Richard and Cecilia Goodman, Rob and Audrey Greenfield, John and Heather Klein, Ken and Stephanie Grody, Bill and Carolyn Klein, Gary and Julie Lobel, Jeff and Debbie Margolis, Eric and Hannah Brew, Bonnie and Brian Jeanette, Simon and Layla Medorsky, Jeff Mankes and Elizabeth Truson, Bill and Amy DeLeon. Page 276, please rise.
Hallelujah, et Shem Adonai, ki niskav shemo levado.
Please be seated. One of the most moving moments in our bar and bat mitzvah services here at Temple Bat Yam is when parents and grandparents, and sometimes even great-grandparents, stand in a line on the bima and symbolically pass the Torah down the generations. At that moment, as the officiating rabbi, I emphasize to the bar or bat mitzvah that they are taking their rightful place in a chain of tradition stretching back thousands of years. I remind them that the Torah has been a source of wisdom and guidance throughout the generations, and that we hope that they, in turn, will hold fast to Torah, living out Torah values as a way to live a life of meaning and of purpose. Just after the last High Holy Days, having officiated at hundreds of B'nai Mitzvah services over the years, Rabbi Reina and I had the great honor to participate in this very tradition as we stood on the bima and Cantor Grant passed the Torah from our parents to us, and then we to our firstborn. As I participated in this ritual for the first time as a parent, I thought of the joy that comes from celebrating life through the milestones prescribed by our tradition, the direction that comes from embracing a heritage so rich in values, the strength that comes from being in a sacred community spanning space and time. Furthest from my mind, a year ago on that day of rejoicing, was a dark legacy that has accompanied our people throughout the millennia, one that tragically has also been our inheritance. Just 3 weeks after we celebrated the bat mitzvah of our firstborn child, we were all shocked by the terrible events at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That mass shooting has the dubious distinction of being the deadliest attack on the Jewish community in the United States in history. Less than 6 months later, there was the local news of the high school party at which Nazi beer pong was played and at which salutes from the Third Reich were given. And then there was the terrible shooting at the Chabad synagogue just down the road in Poway that left 1 person dead, 3 injured, including their rabbi. It's a miracle that the casualty count was not higher. Over the last few years, Jewish cemeteries have been desecrated. Orthodox Jews have been beaten on the streets of New York. Jewish students on campus have been vilified for their support of the Jewish state. Orange County teen Blaise Bernstein was murdered by a neo-Nazi seeking a victim who was both Jewish and gay. Some of our nation's politicians on both sides of the political spectrum have implicitly or explicitly fanned the flames of hatred against our people and others. According to the Anti-Defamation League, 2018 saw a 48% rise in anti-Semitic incidents across this country compared with 2016, and almost a doubling compared with 2015. And that doesn't include the alarming rise in anti-Semitism across Europe, including within the British Labour Party, or the hate-filled words of a Malaysian Prime Minister, or the public appeal of a Hamas cabinet member who called on Palestinians around the world to kill Jews wherever we could be found, or the chilling rhetoric coming out of the leadership in Tehran, hell-bent on destroying the state of Israel. As a grandchild of Holocaust survivors, I was blessed to grow up during a period in which it seemed that the longest hatred had finally been relegated to the tiny fringes of society. It seemed that the dark legacy of anti-Semitism was a chain of inheritance that had finally been broken. Yet, here it is, raising its ugly head again, less than 75 years after the end of the Shoah, during which 1 in 3 Jews alive on the planet were murdered. Rather than fading into oblivion, it seems to have simply skipped a generation. Which prompts us to ask, what's going on? What is going on? course, the full answer is complicated. The origins and history of anti-Semitism through the millennia have been written about extensively. 2 recent additions to the library are highly accessible. Offerings by Holocaust scholar Deborah Lipstadt and by Pittsburgh native Barry Weiss. It would behoove us all to read one or both of these books. But what is clear from scholarship is that anti-Semitism is, in some ways, just like all other types of bigotry of which humans are capable. Yet in other respects, it's very different. It's like all other forms of bigotry because it involves blind hatred of the other. As a species that evolved in small tribal bands, we humans have a tendency to feel more comfortable with our in-group and more wary of or even hostile towards those who are different, whether that be because of their appearance, their national origin, their gender, their ability, their sexuality, sometimes even their sports team. While anti-Semitism shares this dimension, it is also different from other hatreds because it is based not only on the demonization of the other, but also on wild conspiracy theories that shapeshift according to the context. Early in the Christian period, anti-Semitism was a religious phenomenon, a manifestation of antipathy towards our people for the rejection of the Christian Messiah. In the late 19th century, religious anti-Semitism was joined by 2 forms of secular anti-Semitism. One based on pseudo-scientific racial theories and ultimately taken up by the perpetrators of the Shoah. The other based on economic theories that imagined Jews in control of the apparatus of global capitalism was taken up by those who espoused communism. Today's anti-Semitism can be thought of as a 3-headed monster, whereby each head reflects a deeply twisted and bogus conspiracy theory about our people. One head represents the far right-wing white nationalists who see us as a nefarious force plotting to destroy the white race by helping blacks, by helping immigrants, and supporting those who are LGBTQ. Just Google the writings of the Poway and Pittsburgh terrorists to see examples. But be warned, it's stomach-churning. The second head of the 3-headed monster represents those on the fringes of the progressive world who argue that Israel, the Jew among the nations, is uniquely evil and deserving of boycott, divestment, and sanction. Rejecting the Jewish people's legitimate historical claim to our land, our people's right to self-determination like any other people, and Israel's justifiable right to self-defense. All the while ignoring the vast number of injustices being perpetrated by the many brutal regimes around the world, including regimes purportedly fighting for the rights of Palestinians. These folks, sadly, are found disproportionately on college campuses, as well as in small numbers in some blue congressional districts. Which brings us to the third and final head of the 3-headed monster of anti-Semitism. This represents some of those in the Muslim world especially in Europe and the Middle East, who have absorbed the worst of Nazi and Soviet anti-Semitic propaganda, and whose hatred of the Jewish people and the Jewish state has been cynically fomented for decades by dictators and extremist religious figures for their own political ends. This three-headed monster of anti-Semitism, comprised of elements on the far right, the extreme left, and among some in the Islamist community, are all based on fabrications and conspiracy theories and are all fed by the human tendency to hate the other. But we wonder, what has happened that anti-Semitism is on the rise again? Why now? And what should we do about it? It can be argued that anti-Semitism is on the rise today because of many factors, but I believe that there are two main ones: accelerating change and the advent of social media. That our world is changing ever more rapidly is obvious to anyone who's been on the planet for more than about 10 years. Disruptive innovation is sweeping across almost every industry, causing uncertainty and fear to many. And with fear too often comes hatred, which is being stoked by opportunists, tyrants the world over. Social media has enabled anti-Semites and other haters an unprecedented ability to connect with and radicalize each other around the world, from New Zealand to North America, from Syria to Sri Lanka. And so we build fences, we hire extra security personnel, we practice active shooter drills, and we hope and pray that we are not next. But this is not enough. We just read a haunting passage of Torah in which Abraham feels called by God to sacrifice his son Isaac. The moral of the story is we do not sacrifice our children. To the contrary, we strive to give them the best possible life we can. And that includes giving our children a future without the fear of rising anti-Semitism. But what can we do? The first thing is not to bury our heads in the sand and pretend it's not happening. We know where that leads. Rather, we must call out anti-Semitism when we see it, not just the egregious examples, but the more subtle ones too. Research has shown that when we normalize relatively trivial instances of hatred, we pave the way for the hatred to grow and to metastasize. We must have a zero tolerance towards anti-Semitism and other forms of hatred at schools, at work, in the media, and emanating from our politicians. And that means calling out anti-Semitism regardless of from which head of the three-headed monster it emerges, and irrespective of our own political leanings. The second is to rejoice in and celebrate our allies. The fact is that despite everything I've been talking about, there is good news. Pew Research tells us that Jews are the most admired religious group in the country. After Pittsburgh and Poway, and in the wake of the high school fiasco at Newport Harbor High, folks from across the wider community reached out to us to express their support for the Jewish community in both symbolic and concrete ways. Non-Jews have stepped up to express their outrage over anti-Semitism. We here at Temple Bat Yam have now hosted 3 annual gatherings of local Muslim groups during their holy month of Ramadan, to learn about each other, to create warm personal connections that deprive the fuel that fires up hate. The Anti-Defamation League is particularly important when it comes to building a network of allies and training teachers, students, and law enforcement professionals on how to deal with bullying, hatred, and our own implicit biases. We should all support the efforts of the ADL. The third and final thing for us to do is to remember that Judaism is a multi-generational enterprise for good. The Torah has been handed down from generation to generation throughout the centuries, just as we do symbolically at our bar and bat mitzvah services. Our heritage is to be treasured as a source of wisdom, inspiration, and joy. We cannot allow the rise of anti-Semitism to scare us away from coming to temple or from living a full Jewish life. Nor can we allow anti-Semitism to be the main way that we connect to our Jewish life. We must always strive to be growing as Jews, to be learning as Jews, to be doing more as Jews. Let's come to services and other programs, not just on the high holy days, but throughout the year. Let's rejoice in our festivals and invite our friends from the wider community to celebrate with us. After all, Judaism is a living, breathing religious enterprise whose efforts to impact the world positively are our inheritance and our obligation. In just a few moments, we will hear the haunting sound of the shofar. The Truah call is a call of alarm, of warning. We must be ever vigilant about the reality of those who hate us. We must guard against them and their evil ways. We must defend all those who suffer from bigotry and fight against our own explicit and implicit biases. The shofar we're about to hear calls us as a warning. It calls us from the past, expressing the challenges and accomplishments of those who have come before us. And it calls us from the future, calling upon us to create a better legacy for those who are yet to come. Amen. Now, as we approach the shofar service, if you are a parent or guardian of a youngster who was signed into child minding and programming earlier, then now is the time to head to the library and sign them out so that they can come back with you and participate in the shofar sounding. If you are a parent or guardian of a slightly older youngster who did not need to be signed out, they'll come in just a few moments without you needing to go get them. But if you have children who are a little younger and needed to be signed in, now's the time to sign them out so that they can participate in the shofar service. And that service can be found on page 203. Page 203. Let's let's read responsively, joining for the indented lines. Awake, you sleepers, from your sleep. Rouse yourselves from your slumber. Awake like Israel at the sea to the joyful song of Miriam and Moses. Sing to the Eternal, for God has surged in triumph. The Eternal shall reign forever and ever. Awake like Israel at Sinai to the dignity of being God's partners. You shall be for me a holy nation, a sovereign community of priests. Examine your deeds and return to God. Remember your Creator, you who are caught up in the daily routine, losing sight of the eternal truth, you who waste your years in vain pursuits that neither profit nor save. Hear the rousing call to repentance.
With trumpets and the blast of shofar,
raise a shout before the Eternal, the Sovereign. Hear and know the truth of a higher power. God is sovereign, robed in majesty.
God is clothed with strength. So the world stands firm
and
cannot be shaken.
Now I'd like to call up our Baal Tekiah. It's actually a Baal Tekiah team, father and daughter. We're going to invite Yigal Sonnenschein and Mandy Wynn to come forward with the congregation. Please rise. Page 202.
לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות אדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המון.
Page 206, the blessing for fulfilling the mitzvah of hearing the sound of the shofar, followed by She'echiyanu, thanking God for reaching this joyful moment.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddishanu mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lishmoa kol shofar.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'echiyanu v'kiyamanu, v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Tekiah. Shvarim Truah. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shvarim. Tekiah. Tekiah. Truah. Tekiah. Shikach.
Lekol tekiah, tekiah teinu.
Now on page 267, God of remembrance, remembering the covenant of our ancestors, we reaffirm it today. Remember, we are all people of noble ideals. Help us attain them. Remember all your people, all the nations on the road to peace. Bless their efforts. Remember with mercy the binding of Isaac, the sorrow of Sarah, Abraham's words, "Here I am." Our memory fades, but you remember all that we have forgotten. Your presence is a throne where all things matter and nothing is lost.
Baruch atah Adonai.
Baruch Shmo. Tekiah. Tekiah. Truah. Tekiah. Shkach.
Mevinu mazin, mabitu makshiv, lekol tekiah, tekiah teinu.
On page 284, we're about to do our third and final shofar blowing, and it's now time to invite our youngsters to come forward to just below the steps here to get a closer look at the shofar and hear it right at the front. So if you are a youngster or young at heart and would like to come up the front, now is a great time. Don't be shy. Come on up. If you want to bring a parent, that's okay too. But parents, don't leave without your children.
Come on, kids.
Come on up. And remember, there'll be another shofar blowing at the end of Ne'ilah, at the end of Yom Kippur, final Tekiah Gedolah at the end of these high holy days. And the blessing, page 284.
Baruch atah Adonai.
Baruch Rosh.
Shomea kol teruat amo Yisrael b'rachamim.
Amen. Tekiah. Shvarim Truah. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shvarim. Tekiah. Tekiah. Truah. Just 1 second. Yeah, we just need a little sip. L'chaim. Tekiah Gedolah.
Lekol Tekiah, Tekiah Tenu.
Friends, let's remain standing as we turn to page 286 and 287. Call upon our second group of Circle of Honor members, Jay and Diana Moss, Jay and Joni Myers, Richard and Lauren Packard, Robert and Joy Penner, Richard and Deborah Polonsky, Steve and Dee Dee Price, Jerome and Stacy Schneider, Scott and Leslie Siegel, come on up, don't wait for the end of the list, Patty and Eric Seaburn, Stan and Laura Schuster, Danny and Kerry Sonnenschein, Igal and Sheila Prell Sonnenschein, Gerald and Eileen Spear, Robert and Carol Warsaw, Art and Karen Yelsey, Murray and Laurie Rudin, Lon Vinacore and Marla Siegel Vinacore, Michael and Kerry Titus, Rodney and Melissa Sachs, Bernie and Joan Rome. And if you missed out the first Circle of Honor and want to come up for this one, you can come up now. Let's remain standing for the Aleinu as we approach the conclusion of our service.
עלינו לשבח אדון הכל, התת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגופי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים, ומשחקים
Baruch
And we remain standing as we turn to page 292 for the Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. We remember those who've died at this season in years past, those who've recently passed. We also remember those who built up this congregation and who are no longer with us, past presidents, past members of our board, founders of our community, and our longtime Rabbi Mark S. Miller. Page 292, together for all of them and for all those who died in the Shoah as martyrs of our people and do not have anyone left to say Kaddish for them. Together, Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, b'gala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach la'olam v'la'amei almaya, yitvarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'al v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadal v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha b'richu, ve'ela v'le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shalama Rabba min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru amen. May the source of peace bestow peace on all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort for all who are bereaved. And we say, Amen. We turn now to our closing song, which can be found on page 299, Ein Kelohenu. Reminder to pick up bags to collect grocery items for our food drive. Reminder to join us in just a short while at the North Star Beach for the ceremony of Tashlit, casting our sins symbolically into the waters. There are directions in the pamphlet, I believe, to North Star Beach. Page 299, Ein Kelohenu.
And friends, just before we conclude, may I thank our wonderful choir one more time, our incredible conductor, William Wells. And I'm not going to give you too much inside information, but Kemp Smeal has been playing organ for us for 14 years, this is his 14th year. And to condense all of that music that he's normally used to playing on an organ with pedals and stops for various instruments of various sizes, to condense all that down on the fly to the piano is no small task. He's an incredible artist. Thank you, Kemp Smeal.
Ein Kelohenu.
Ein Kelohenu.
Ein Kelohenu, ein Adonenu, ein Kemalkeinu, ein Kemoshienu, mi Kelohenu, mi Adonenu, mi Kemalkeinu, mi Kemoshienu, Nodeh Lemalkeinu, Nodeh Adonenu, Nodeh Lemalkeinu, Nodeh Lemoshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu
L'shana tova tikatevu.
L'shana tova tikatevu.